su nombre 3 veces, se va a aparecer.
Beetlejuice. Me necesitan arriba.
Michael Keaton, I want to thank you for being at Estreno en Español and welcome you to Mexico City. What a great pleasure talking to you.
It's nice to be here. We love it here.
Was it easy to go back in time over 30 years to track how you prepared for Beetlejuice and then bring those notes or those memories to Beetlejuice?
It was a little difficult, but Tim had already been here, been in London getting ready and preparing everything. So I was a little nervous about doing it right, being respectful to the character, but also to the whole thing. So once I showed up and I had seen the world he had created, I started to, click back in.
Jenna, Justin, welcome to Mexico City and thank you for being at CNN en Español for Latin America and CNN International. Jenna, my first question goes to you. You've worked with Tim Burton in the past. Was it easier for you to give and treat your character because you already knew the director and what he could have expected from you?
Well, I mean, with something like this, obviously the first film is so legendary and so loved by so many people. There's that instant pressure that you want to do it right and you want to make sure that fans, like your character and you fit into the world. But, Tim is so kind and generous and so creative and so encouraging of people's creative process that I definitely felt very grateful to not be meeting him for the first time on that set and to have already built a relationship with him so that, if I had a question, I wasn't scared to ask, and he's just always been very understanding and very sweet.
In the first one, I mean, on one hand, I got a little more involved in this one only because we had made one. So I had ideas, things I liked from the first, new ideas for the first one. But on the other hand, in this one, I contributed a lot during the shoot by creating ideas and improvising and making up funny things, but not as much because I didn't have to this time. Tim had already a very, very clear vision. At the first one, he had the imagery in his head, but he and I were figuring it out together as we were making it. And this one, he already knew. He was prepared. He knew what he wanted to do. So for me, I had much less work.
It was this dual reaction. One was, oh my God, I'm gonna do Beetlejuice with Tim Burton. And then the other one was, I hadn't read the script yet, so I was like, oh, I hope the script is good, because if for some reason it was. And I also, when I got the call, didn't know, I was like, they did tell me Tim was involved, but I didn't know who else was gonna be involved, if the cast was coming back, if even Michael was gonna be involved. So I was very nervous, so it's sort of a split decision. But then once we started talking with Tim, I got thrilled by it.
I was in 9th grade when Beetlejuice premiered. I was 15 years old, and for my friends and I, this was such a great movie because it was a dark movie, a black horror, a black comedy movie. How do you think that youngsters being 15 years old today would react to Beetlejuice?
That's a great question. I think you should tell me, but I think basically the same. I think there's something about when you're young, you're open and you're not, certain things, you don't judge them as much, you're just kind of free to, and there's something about with kids, and I don't know why it is, some dark things, it's appealing. I remember when I was a kid, kind of scary or dark or anti or subversive, I was attracted to it. And this, I think also for the character, he is so subversive, it's like he's rebellious, so he gets to be irreverent for everyone.
¿Puedes ayudarme a salvar a mi hija? ¿Cómo me aseguro de que cumplirás?
Por el alma de mi madre, lo juro.
What does Beetlejuice has from Michael Keaton, and what does Michael Keaton has from Beetlejuice?
Well, the freedom, for one thing, there's nothing, he's just a created thing. I can't even call him, sometimes I can't even call him a he or a she or an it or a thing. I don't know, it's a force. It's like a force, It's like a creature or something. So I have no relationship to him. But in terms of freedom, you know, I'm free to just let my imagination run wild and just comedically make things up that I think are funny or outrageous.
¡Todos a bordo! ¿Lista, Honey?
¿Reconoces a esta muñeca?
Pues no la conocí jamás en mi vida, o en la siguiente.
¿Listo o no?
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
If you had the chance to change roles within the movie, which character would you pick?
I would love to be a sandworm.
Oh my God.
I would love to be a sandworm.
I'd love to be Bob.
He's in a hard position though the whole time.
¡Gusano de arena! ¡Corre!
¡Gusanos de arena!
Bob, like looking in a mirror. You're my decoy while I make mine get away. Nobody gets through.
Why is Beetlejuice so obsessed with Lydia?
Well, I ask myself that question sometimes. I don't know. I don't want to think about it.
Regresó la... Queremos darles las gracias por venir a esta celebración, pero ahora nos gustaría estar en privado.